You guys have been here for a while, but I'm still going to kind of start this the same way. One of the things that I'm really trying to do here at ListenTrust is I'm trying to get everybody to have a mentality that they don't work for us, that we work for you. Now, what do I mean when I say that? What happens with people through their lives is they have all these dreams that they want to do when they're younger. They wanted to go to China and see the Great Wall. They wanted to, go to Machu Picchu. They wanted to do all these crazy things. They wanted to buy a car, buy a house, and a lot of times we get caught up in the day-to-day grind and we start to forget what our dreams are, right? We just start to forget what it is we really wanted to do. And the reality is that for a lot of people, a call center job is more of a step-off point than a career. Now, some of you guys will end up managing in the room over there. If we expand into another city, some of you guys will go there and start, help us lead that expansion. But a lot of you guys might find other careers in sales. You might want to own your own business. Maybe you want to own a restaurant, or you want to, I think that a basis for sales is a basis for anything you want to do in life. If you can network and get to know people through your sales process, it's great. If everybody at a restaurant said, what else, as opposed to, is that all, you'd increase your profit by 30%. Right? So I think a sales basis is important for everybody to have. So what this training is going to do is I'm basically going to talk a little bit about how to achieve your dreams. If I were to name this, it would be how to achieve a dream in under 6 months. All right? And that's really what I want you guys to focus on as a goal. I'm going to do in another training, I'm going to come up with, I want you guys to come up with like 100 dreams as to what you wanted to do. And then we're really going to start to focus on dreams and how we can really make this company really work for you. All right? So let's say that you wanted to go to Disney World, or you want to go to Nantes, France. One of the girls wanted to go to Nantes. I've never even heard of it. But I actually went through the process of actually looking up how much it costs to fly from Hermosillo to Nantes. And it's actually $1,000 US, so it's around 18,000 pesos. And then we said, okay, so let's assume to go to Nantes you need $1,500, because you got a bed and breakfast there is pretty cheap, but you're gonna need some money to spend. And so let's make your dream happen in 6 months, okay? And so ultimately, you got to find enough revenue to pay your basic bills, but you got to find enough revenue to save some money too. And you've got to be financially, solid enough to put this money aside so you can accomplish these dreams. But let's say that this is you today, and you're taking 100 calls, and you're doing 50 sales, and you get 6 pesos for every sale, and you're only converting the additional unit at 5%. And I know that's not you. I know you're a top seller, but let's say, as an example, so that 5%, which is 13 pesos, is only worth 1 peso. 30% of the upgraded units, 50% of the warranty, 30% of the club, and 10% of the magazines. The first thing a professional salesperson has to do is they have to know their data. You have to know how much money you make every time the phone rings. All right? If you guys don't know that, you need to figure out what it is. And then you want to drive that number. So in this model, based on the score sheet of 1 to 100, what I'm saying is maybe you're only taking 30 calls a day. That's kind of an average over there. Someone like you might be getting 60 calls a day. But, 30 calls average. So in the course of a week, if you add this up, you're making 20 pesos every time you get a sale. But you're converting at 50%, so every time the phone rings, in this particular model, you're making 10 pesos. So if you take 180 calls, you'll make 1,800 pesos as your commission. On top of your base pay, you're at 4,000 pesos. But in order to go to Nantes, N-A-N-T-E-S, you need to get to 5,000 pesos, because over 6 months, right, if you can make that additional revenue, that's 26,000 pesos, 26 weeks, 26,000 pesos. How do you make that extra revenue? So I'm going back to basics over here. You guys know how we route calls, right? Can you guys still see me? Yeah? How about now?
No.
Oh! So I'm going back to the basics over here. How can we make little hinges? This is a door, right? Little hinges swing big doors. See the 2 little hinges on that door? They're just 2 little tiny hinges. What I'm going to do is give you guys 1, 2, 3 areas to work on and to improve upon. And ideally, each one of these will swing the hinge just a little bit. If you could just work on greeting and rapport and you could build that out just a little bit, maybe you can convert a little bit better in different areas. If you get better at doing rapport, maybe it shaves some talk time on your calls, and instead of 30 calls, you can answer 35. So let me start with the greeting and the rapport, all right? When you guys are brand new, and some of you guys have been here for a while, so some of this might be repetitive for you, but I'm still gonna cover it just like I did with everybody else. When you're brand new, the first thing we tell you out of sales training is be positive in the first 5 seconds. And that's really still important. If someone were to call you right now, and it was your girlfriend, your spouse, whatever, if you picked up the phone, you'd know before she said a word whether you were in trouble or not, right? I mean, the first sentence out of her, first word out of her mouth, you'd know, right? She'd go, Craig, oh, I'm so screwed. I don't even know what I did, but I'm screwed. Or she'd go, hey baby, and I'd know I'm okay, right? I'm all right. You know within 5 seconds, and that's still true. But the rest of this, how to build rapport, we talked to you in training, and some of you guys have been out of training for a while, but in training we talk about building rapport in the first 45 seconds. The reality is that on a hard offer, you could build rapport in 3 different areas. You could build rapport in the greeting. Hi, thanks for calling about free TV key. My name's Craig, can I get your first name? It's Mary. Oh, you the girl that wrote that song for? Do you happen to have a little lamb? Mary, a little lamb?
Yeah.
You can build rapport as you're capturing data. Thanks for calling free TV key. My name's Craig, can I get your first name? It's Mary. Hey Mary, I see you calling on our promotion today, right? Terrific. What city are you calling from? Portland, Maine? Great. Have all the tourists left Maine yet? I know the population spikes in the summer. Oh, they're starting to leave now. Now, is it snowing yet? Too early to snow? All right, ha ha ha. Or you could build rapport after you get the credit card. And then you could say, now Mary, you said you were calling from Maine. You know, once upon a ago, I actually went there and went camping on one of your lakes up there, and I got to know the state bird really well. Really too well. The mosquitoes ate me alive. And ha ha, mosquitoes, they suck. All 3 of those areas are okay with hard offers. If it's a trial offer or a soft offer, it really is more important that you build rapport early than late. Now, as someone who takes a lot of phone calls, a lot of times, if I were brand new, I might think that by building rapport in the greeting and taking that 45 seconds actually hurts me in trying to build my talk time, right? So, but the funny thing is it's just the opposite. By building rapport in the greeting, if you were to walk up to a strange woman in a bar and say, want to go have sex with me? She'd say no. And then no matter how much talking you did, you're no longer building a relationship, you're now trying to convince her or sell her on having sex with you, right? Sex and sales, a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
However, if you build rapport and you act like a nice guy and you don't act like a jerk, and you build rapport and build a relationship, then you're not convincing or pleading. You are basically in a relationship with someone and you now have a greater chance of getting that girl to go home with you. So what happens when you build rapport in the greeting is you're building this relationship with people and you now are an assistant buyer. You're now going through a decision-making process with them. And what happens is you could go through, because all these phone calls and go, what's your first name? Mary, and your last name, and your city, your state, and your credit card. Okay, do you want the extra units? Okay, and do you want the upgrade? And do you want the warranty? And rush through it. But if you actually want to sell those things, if you don't build rapport, you're now convincing that customer or selling them. If you do build rapport, you'll say, and what happens is you end up talking 300 to 500% more on the back end of a call to get the club, to get the upsells, and it's less effective. So you talk more for less results.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy. But if you do build this rapport, you end up having a relationship, so you talk less with better results. So when we talk about personalize and disarm, let me give you a couple of examples. I have a friend of mine, his name's Tommy Gorman. And Tommy used to sit at his desk and he'd have a fly fishing kit at his desk. Right? And he literally had the pinchers and he'd have the hook in it and have all the feathers on his desk with the string. And he'd be tying flies at his desk. And Tommy was really good at disarming customers. No matter who it was that would call, he'd go, hi, thanks for calling Free TV Key. My name's Tommy, can I get your first name? Hi, Mary. Let me ask you, do you like fly fishing? Now, out of 30 phone calls, how many people like to fly fish?
2 1%.
Maybe 1, right? No one likes to fly fish. Then he'd say, oh, you don't fly fish? Every once in a while, they'd say yes, and he'd really build rapport. But a lot of them say no, but that wasn't his goal in building rapport. So when they say no, we go, well, do you do any fishing at all? Out of the 30 people, how many people do some fishing?
Maybe 5.
2.
Maybe 5, yeah, maybe 5, maybe 2, whatever. It's depends on where they're called. In Minnesota, it's by 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people say no. You go, well, let me ask you a question, because I'm trying to plan my next fishing vacation. I really should get up to Maine and do some fishing. Are there any great spots up there? Now, if someone asked you that here, you'd say, the Sea of Cortez is some of the best fishing, not only, in this area, but in the world, right? And you might get a little enthusiastic about your fishing here in Hermosillo. Well, the same thing happens to customers, and all of a sudden, he would go from being somebody trying to sell them something, these customers would try to sell him on their hometown. Oh, you love it here, and so great, and on soft offers, this guy would close 60% of his customers. Unheard of numbers, but it was because he knew how to make a connection. He knew how to personalize, and he knew how to disarm the customer. For me, I was always a fan of music, right? So I'd always say, hey, you the girl they wrote that song for? And if there wasn't a song, she'd go, I've never heard a song about Lucinda. I'd go, you know what? There's a man someplace who had his heart broken by you, and he wrote a poem or a song about it, and he just didn't want you to hear it. But you've broken a few hearts in your day, haven't you? Yeah, I have. Ha ha ha. Now again, if you can get them to laugh in the first 30 seconds, that's an automatic bump in your close rate too.
Yeah, it's just that, what I think is, once you break that tension or break that ice, that is gonna be, because whenever they call, they expecting something to go on, because in any other situation that they have passed in another call or ordering something, they have a bad experience. So they have that hesitation to do the order, so once you break that little thing with them, that will be perfect.
Exactly. They'll listen.
Just let it go.
Yeah, or they'll listen to your approach
Yes.
too. They'll listen to your pitch. So the other thing about building rapport, so if I were an agent today, one of the things, it's a little bit of a disadvantage, but if I had a lot of calls from Maine, we just built this cheat sheet, right? We just built this cheat sheet out, and the cheat sheet allows you to know what goes on state by state. If I were an agent today, I'd look at where I get the most calls, and I'd know what goes on in every state. So for example, if somebody would call from Maine, you should know that in the summer, the tourists increase the population on the coastal towns by like 500%. You should know that the end of September, beginning of October, right now, is leaf peeper season. The temperatures right now are probably in the 80s, but by the end of September, they're 70s during the day, but they're 30 degrees at night.
Really?
And so the leaves start to change coming into October. Crazy, right? How fast that changes.
What's the zip code?
Yeah, and I can tell you that I had a woman call from Florida, and Route 71 goes from Tampa to Miami, and they call it Alligator Alley. And I was driving across it at one point, and when this woman called, she goes, I'm from Florida, and I said, oh, no kidding. I was just driving down Alligator Alley, and I saw some alligator eating a little boy, and I pulled over and got some great pictures. And she went, what? What's wrong with you? And I laughed about it, and she laughed about it, and I just went through the, I said, yeah, well, I'm just kidding. I said, I'm just calling, I'm just joking with you, I see you calling to our promotion and went into the sale. If your talk time is 8 minutes, by personalizing and disarming, not only can you sell better, but you'll talk less. So now you're gonna shave 2 minutes off from every call. So instead of 30 calls per day, you're gonna get a new hour in your 8 hours that you don't have. And you're gonna use that hour to get up to 35 calls a day. Right? So now you're taking 210 calls a week. And your number improvement, it's not that great of an improvement. Let's just say you go to 26 pesos a sale. So 13 pesos for every time the phone rings. Reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Clubs went up a little bit, conversion went up a little bit, no big deal. Well, if you do 210 calls times 13 pesos, you're at 27.30 in commissions. So you just made 900 pesos extra just by one simple technique, by being a master at closing the sale. Now she's on her way to Nantes, France. Never mind the rest of this, right? Pretty simple. This is how you can keep your dreams alive and do a dream. It's by becoming a master at the sales process, and we've got all the calls you can eat. TriStar has 80,000 calls. We're taking 15,000 of them. We sent 5,000 calls back to other centers. That's just TriStar. Dean Graziosi's coming with his products, and Dean's a billionaire. And Dean's actually going to come train you guys himself. I'm pretty excited for that. Dean lives in Phoenix, so he's like, I'll just fly down. And he's a billionaire, and his program's called The Millionaire Secrets. And it's a book you guys are gonna be asked to sell, and he's gonna upsells behind it, but he's gonna tell you these millionaire secrets in order to make sure you're trained.
Are we gonna do?
I'm trying to get 100 books from him, so I can have you guys all read his book before he comes.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
But more importantly, you guys are gonna sit with him, I mean, don't pepper him with dumb questions, please. But he's gonna talk to you about his millionaire secrets. He's this most decent human being on the planet. And we have his calls that are coming. And then Ignite, transferring calls into sell clubs. They're gonna look, if somebody's available, they're gonna give us a call. We've also got the Gotham Steel Pans waiting to come. We've got the Derma one that's actually in setup. Capital Brands is in setup, waiting for us to say that we can take calls. And I've got 5 other companies that wanna send us calls.
Like that?
We could take 60,000 calls here if we have the bodies. When new people take calls, the biggest thing they do is they answer questions and hesitate. They go, it's $9.95. And they almost create objections. You know, they're almost waiting for a customer to go, that's a lot. If there's an additional pause on the customer side, sometimes they go, is that a lot? Or do you think that's too much? Or I've had people say that's too much. Are you okay with that? They just say stupid things. They basically raise their own objection. The secret to controlling a call is to always know what to say and don't equivocate. It's one of 2 things. You answer the question and say, as I was saying, immediately. As I was saying, right back into the script. The second answer would be to say, it's $9.95, what's your credit card? You know, you always assume it's a good deal. Have you ever been in a restaurant and the waiter says, what is it, chicken or steak? And you go, what do you recommend? And whatever he recommends, you buy. It's all in your tone of voice. The majority of sales are made based on your tone of voice. Are you confident that the shipping price is no big deal? If you are, it's no big deal to the customer. But if you go, it's $9.95, well now you don't even know if you're right. It's $9.95. You sound suspicious. It's $9.95, what credit card do you want to use? It's no big deal. If you act like it's no big deal, it's no big deal. And a lot of new people get stuck on interruptions and not knowing how to continue after answering the question. I was consulting with a big call center, West Telemarketing, and one of my little claims to fame was when people would have an FAQ, a question, West on their screens would push this PF9 key. PF9 led them to the FAQs. And what happened was, like, what are the ingredients? They'd say, well, it's got Garcinia cambogia and horny goat weed and glycerin, and they'd read the ingredients, and they'd go, okay, with an uptone. 15% of the customers would hang up after going to an FAQ. 30% of those customers would call back in and order from somebody else. But ultimately, the agent didn't know where to go from there. They'd go, okay, and the customer almost had to lead them back into the script. All I did on almost 80,000 FAQs was I wrote, so did you want to go ahead and order, or do you still need a little bit more information? Now that's still weak, that's below what I would do here, but this was a lot of agents, like 10,000 agents, so I didn't want to try to train them to close. I just wanted to either go back into the script or go to the closing page. So it was a button to close, and then it was a button to go backwards, back into the script. And that alone made them millions of dollars. They were very happy with that. And that was one of the little things that I noticed, and it's just, a lot of times, agents equivocate. You see how I put no 3-second pause, no dead air? They don't know what to say. And so the best thing, if you say, as I was saying, that buys you 3 to 5 seconds, right, before you can continue. Mom and Dad always said, don't interrupt somebody until they finish their sentence. And a lot of times, if you say, as I was saying, they're gonna wait for you to finish your sentence. So, did you wanna go ahead and do this like most people do as well? This statement is like a sledgehammer. It seems pretty unassuming. But when you talk to people and you say, that makes sense, right? And they say yes, and you go, well, so what's your credit card? Well, that's just one close. What I like to do is I like to sit back and give somebody control of my call, but I do it in a way that's impossible for them to say no, because this statement has 7 closes. So, did you want to go ahead and do this like most people do as well? There's no way that they're gonna say no to you when you do it, but they totally feel like you're giving up control of the call, and you're giving them an opportunity to make a decision. But it's got 7 closes. Very difficult for them to say no. They really have to not want it after that phrase. Really powerful phrase, but a lot of people don't understand exactly how to use that. Let me give you another example. Somebody says, I don't have a credit card. A big mistake you guys make is you go, well, is it that you don't have a card or you don't like to use it over the phone? Well, psychology dictates that if you ask that question, nobody wants to be a liar. So they're gonna say, no, I don't have a card. But they all have credit cards. So the way I ask that question is much different than the way you would. I say, so let me ask you a question. Is it that you don't have a card, or that you don't like to use it over the phone? Because most of my customers actually have cards. I mean, today you almost can't survive in the US without a card. It's just that they don't like to use it over the phone. And I bet that's the case with you as well, right? And I give them a little chance to get out of jail free. And they're not a liar. They're now in the same boat as thousands of other people who said they didn't have one, but they do. So I really bring them into a place where it's okay for them to tell me the truth. But if you put somebody in a corner and you say, do you have a card, or do you don't like to use it over the phone, and you stop, the answer is always going to be, I don't have a card. You're going to spend your whole call trying to overcome, don't have a credit card, when that's not their objection at all. You're wasting your time. You have to use the run-on of, is it that you don't have a card, or that you don't like to use it over the phone? Because most of my customers actually have the card. They're just a little bit uncomfortable. And it's like psychology. They're not a lot uncomfortable. They're a little bit uncomfortable actually using it over the phone. And in today's society, you almost can't survive without one. You know, maybe you even have the card with the, the debit card with the MasterCard or Visa logo. But I bet that's the case with you as well, right? Yes. Terrific. Now you don't have to overcome that anymore, because you handle it the right way and you let them come out of the corner and you let them be in a position where thousands of other people also said they don't have a card, but the reality is they just didn't feel like using it over the phone. So you're not calling them a liar, you're allowing them a chance to come to the confessional and tell you the truth. That they have it, they just don't like to use it over the phone. If you're trying to handle an objection for don't have a card, it's a lot different than I don't like to use it over the phone, right? Over the phone is real easy. We've been in business for years, part of the Better Business Bureau, we're on Amazon, you can see us everywhere. We buy hundreds of thousands of dollars of media every single week. If we were any type of company that, that wasn't going to protect its consumers, or if this got returned a lot, we obviously wouldn't be in business. And there's a number of things you can say to overcome I don't like to use my credit card over the phone. The credit card companies today are going to protect you. It's the safest way to use it, to buy anything today, because of the protection your credit card company offers. If for any reason we weren't the right type of company, they're going to make sure they protect you. Anytime a company isn't the right type of company, they get reported immediately, and your company already knows who those companies are, and they'll probably stop the transaction, so you can protect it anyway. Number of things you can say to overcome, I don't like to use it over the phone, but when they don't have a card, you're pretty well stuck. And guess what? If you try to catch them in a lie, it doesn't help you win. You might feel better that you know they're lying, but who cares? You're not going to get any more sales from that. Make sense? Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to move on from control the call, and I'm going to move on to rebuttals, and I'm going to give you 4 quick ones, okay? The first one's feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. Many people felt just like you. They too wanted to consult with their cat. They too wanted to talk to their husband. They too, whatever it is. Agree? I understand how you feel. Isolate. They too wanted to do X, Y, and Z. However, what they found, feel, felt, found. Many people feel like you. Many people feel like you. They felt like they may not have all the channels they wanted to see in their area. What they found was that by getting the product, and the premise here, by getting the product, it was the best decision they ever made. They were so happy they did. Right? And I think you will be too. Does that make sense? Yes, terrific. What's your credit card? Or terrific. So did you want to go ahead and do this like most people do as well? It's very assumptive that. Did you want to go ahead and do this like most people do as well? Of course you do. You'd be an idiot. You'd be the dumbest person on the planet to say no to me right now. You're saying it in that way, but you're not saying that. It's perfect. Feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. Many people felt like you. What they found was when they bought the product, they were making a great decision. Really simple to master feel, felt, found. When I was an agent, I did feel, felt, found for 3 days straight to become really good at it. Because that's what I wanted to be, is a master of the sales process. Next one is similar situation. You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up. Agree. I'm so glad you brought that up. As a matter of fact, last week I had a woman call in your same situation. She was living in an area, she thought there were really a lot of hills around, some buildings. She wasn't sure if she was going to get the number of channels that she wanted to see. And I completely understand where you're coming from. This one's key to learn because you can use this with any other close. It really works well. It's getting 3 yeses in a row, okay? So let me ask you, when you called in for the free TV key, you were looking to save some money, right? Terrific. And you're a smart person, right? If for any reason this didn't work for you, you'd send it back for a full refund, wouldn't you? Exactly. And if it did work, can you see where this would save you some money every year? Terrific. What's your credit card number? It's 3 S's. It works with any product or service. Let me ask you, you're interested in improving your health, right? That's what you called for, fitness machine. And if this didn't work the way it was supposed to, or let me even go a step further, if the product wasn't as convenient as I'm telling you it is, and you didn't end up using it, right, stayed in the corner of your room, you'd send it back for a full refund, right? Terrific. And if it works like it's supposed to, it's going to improve your health, which is what you were looking for, right? Awesome. What credit card do you want to use? 3 S's. It works with anything. And when I see a new product come in, I write down what are my 3 yes questions so I know what they are. I'll write down 5, right, just to use it. Now let me show you how it works with Feel, Felt, Found. I know how you feel. Many people have felt just like you. They wanted to talk to their husband about the product, and I certainly understand that. Whatever you want to do is fine. What they found, though, is that by getting the product, they're able to work together with their husband to kind of see if it works for them. Let me ask you a question. Your husband's going to have a couple of different, there's no women in here, but just role play. Your husband's going to want to do 2 things. Is it going to save you some money, and is he going to be able to watch his favorite shows, right? For the most part. You might have a few others, and if for any reason it doesn't work for you the way it's supposed to, you'd send it back for a full refund, right? And if it does work, you can see where you're going to have some savings. Your husband can maybe do something romantic for you, or maybe he'll buy a whole new tool set. Either way, he's going to be pretty happy, right? Terrific. Well, with that in mind, why don't we go ahead and get out these, you can try it out. Did you want to go ahead and do this like most people do as well? Yeah. Boom. Feel, Felt, Found into Socratic method and yes. There's a lot of other tools in the sales manual you guys should use. For example, one of my favorites, I used to have a lot of trouble with spousal objections. I wrote like 7 of them. One of my favorites is if I'm talking to a woman on the phone, I'll use my strawberries and bananas close. If it's a man, it's the skill saw and a shovel. So if it's a man, it's, let me ask you a question. You wouldn't go to Home Depot to buy a skill saw or a shovel. If you're at Home Depot buying a skill saw or a shovel, you wouldn't call your wife and ask permission to do it, right? I mean, she'd trust your judgment in that you needed those things, right? I mean, you guys been married for a long time. I'm sure she's going to trust your judgment in this case. As a matter of fact, if it turns out to be a bad decision, you can get a full refund of the product price. Does that make sense? And then you close, right? So that was skill saw shovel. But for the women, it was, let me ask you a question. When you're at the grocery store and you're looking to buy strawberries or bananas, one or the other, you're not calling your husband up and asking him which one you should buy, right? He's trusting your judgment. As a matter of fact, if you decide to go crazy and get both, he's probably going to be okay with that. Wouldn't you agree? Exactly. I'm sure he's going to trust your judgment in this matter. And the best thing about this is, if for any reason it doesn't turn out to be a great decision, you'd send it back for a full refund, right? I mean, your husband's really going to want to know 2 things. Does it give him his favorite shows, and is it going to save you money, right? And if it works the way it's supposed to, you can see where it would save money. Yes? Terrific. So did you want to go ahead and do this like most people do as well? The money or works is pretty simple. It's blow-off lines are like, I want to think about it, I want to talk to my wife, I want to talk to my doctor, I want to talk to my dog, I want to pray about it. They're all blow-off lines for the most part, right? So money or works is, well, let me ask you a question. Whatever you want to do is fine, but let me ask you a question. Is it the money that's making you hesitate, or whether or not you think it'll work? All it's trying to do is get to the root of why they're not buying. Now, if you're selling a trial offer, hard offers, they already know the price. So really, you don't have to use money or works with a hard offer, because you know its value. They don't know about the value. You can use it, but you almost don't have to with a priced product. Trial offers, that's really effective because they were planning on paying $19.95, and it's $19.95 plus 3 additional payments of $100. So is it the money that's making you hesitate, or whether or not you think it'll work? Well, it's a combination of both. It's really a lot more than I was going to spend, and I'm not sure it's going to work. And so then you'd say, you know what, I know how you feel. I've had other people call in who felt exactly like you. You know, it was a little bit more than they wanted to spend. Not a lot, it's a little bit more psychology. It's a little bit more than they wanted to spend. And they really, the only way they want to spend that extra money is if they're really sure the value is going to be there. And that's what you're saying, right? I completely understand. If it were my hard-earned money, I'd feel exactly like you. I wouldn't want to spend my money on something that I wasn't sure was gonna work. And the reality is not everything fits everybody. And in this case, this is why we use it as a trial offer. The only reason you're actually gonna pay any more than you intended is if in 30 days after using this product, you're able to see that the value is there for you. You're gonna look in the mirror and know that your skin is less wrinkled if you're selling Dermawan, right? You're gonna see that the wrinkles are gone in your eyes, and you're gonna really know that paying that extra $40 a month for the product is well worth it. You're gonna be so happy that you made the decision. But if not, you're gonna give us a call, we're not gonna bill your card anything further, plus we're gonna refund the $19.95, and you're not gonna be any worse for wear, right? Make sense? Terrific. In this case, that's what I highly recommend, because we had a decision as a company, I can go on and on. We had a decision as a company, we could either make a product that's inferior and maybe doesn't work as well as it should, or we can put the time and money and investment into building a quality product that does a really good job of working for you, so you're absolutely gonna be thrilled with the results. And that's really the reason most people buy from us, when they have other choices that they could maybe make out there in the industry. We would rather have you spend a little bit more than you expected than get a lot less than you need in order for you to look the way you wanna look, or for you to have a product the way that you wanna have it, whatever the thing may be for a close. If you guys really wanna live your dream, right, and you really wanna become an expert, is to do the real work when you go home and turn on YouTube and look up Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins and Jeff Gitmore and all these guys that have these, like Jeff Gitmore, the Little Red Book of Sales, he's got a whole channel with 6-minute videos, one after the other, on how to handle, I wanna think about it, and how to handle, and I put all these videos, I downloaded a bunch of them and turned them into files you could put on the Hot Sheet Pro.
Yep.
If you guys see a lot of these things on the Hot Sheet Pro now, little 6-minute videos. Zig Ziglar's got one that's like 45 minutes or whatever. But these are all things, like if you wanna put them on your phone to listen on your way to work on the bus or on the whatever, there's programs where you do MP4 to MP3, and you just put the YouTube address in and it just converts it to an MP3 file. And then you download it and plug it in your phone. You know, you can listen to it anywhere.
You increase the speed and you can watch more videos.
I always watch things at about 1.5 speed,
Yeah,
but
1.5
sometimes
is
the
good.
accents are a little bit strong, you might want to slow it down, but I like 1.5 speed because I like to get through a lot of content. But like Zig Ziglar's got a great one on value. Cost versus price. His question, one of my favorite Zig Ziglar questions is it the cost you're concerned about or the price? And people say, what's the difference? And that's exactly what he wants you to say. That's a great question. You see, price is a one-time thing and cost is a lifetime thing.